Alrighty, so week 10 attendance. I talked about week 10 classwork in last week's video classwork, so make sure you understand all the moving parts because this video for this week is from a previous semester, and I've talked about both in the writing and in that video to make sure you catch certain pieces that I've seen students have not always gotten. Okay, so make sure you pay close attention to that. So for this week, nothing quite new this week. We're heading towards the end of our Excel series, and I have released week 11 that has a lab test on it. There is a group of you, which is really awesome, that is working ahead. So I try to give you content to allow you to do that. So I'm running an event this weekend, which is why I'm a little bit behind. But by next week, I will have released a couple more weeks for us to have through spring break. So, because I know some folks like to work over spring break and some folks don't, and it's all dependent on your own individual status, right? As far as where you're at in the class and what you want to do. So there's really only one major thing I want to talk about for this week attendance, is that several of you mentioned that you had some challenges on on the Excel chapter 3 because of the F4 or just understanding what it was asking. And I understand that. Basically, these are word problems where they're giving you an example through the training, and when they go to the exam, it is a little different. What I want you to know, and I kept saying this, and I'm not sure everyone may remember me talking about this, and I'm going to switch over to my IT lab real quick, is that once you take an exam, just like when you come and do view submissions to report your score, right? You're used to this process of coming in here and then you just typically hit print and you're on your way. But I've talked about before, and I'm reiterating now, that when you scroll through this, what you will see is that each item gives you the actual step-by-step, the alternative methods. And one reason I'm emphasizing the alternative methods here is that for those of you who said you couldn't hit F4, I did it on my computer, and I just put a $ between each row and column because that's the alternative way of doing absolute referencing. So what I noticed is many folks who didn't, and not everyone, but many folks who didn't do well only took the exam once. So once you take the exam, you get these step-by-step instructions, right? So if it was me, I wouldn't do it that way, but what I would do is come in here, and you don't get it when you hit print, but what you can do is just come through here and select, right? And I would copy and paste this into some document that I would have, or the alternative would be is just to do the ones you missed, so that you could study what it is, because this is telling you what the way it wanted you to do it, and the alternative methods in case you run into challenges with your keyboard, your system maybe not doing it the way you think it should. Okay? So I just want you to know that and I've mentioned it before, but I think it's a perfect time to reiterate this, because once we finish Excel, then we'll be moving into Access, which for most people is a very new program. So using that step-by-step instruction is really helpful. And I did hear from a few of you that were still waiting for the MS Access, and it looks like that went out, so I'm happy to hear that. So I hopefully don't have to talk about that again. All right, thanks. Have a great week. I'll talk to you next week.